Need more money, connections, associations, and what you would call a relaxed mind? Have you ever wondered why some folks are regarded as high flyers and successful people with results to show? You know the names. It's been found out that the difference between these high flyers and successful people is mindsets and how they think. Welcome to Baseline Beats with Benga. Here is this week's episode.
Here we are, the day I spotlight on an individual, something, or a phenomenon with the hope that would learn from such. Like I usually say, mindsets are key, and that is what I seek to always address. I'm your friend, my name is Benga. Today's episode is about an icon and a personality. Well, let me describe him. He was an American statesman and lawyer. He led the nation through the American Civil War, the country's greatest moral, constitutional, and political crisis. He succeeded in preserving the Union, abolishing slavery, bolstering the federal government, and modernizing the U.S. economy. He was born on February 12, 1809, in a log cabin. He was self-educated and became a lawyer. Folks in Illinois in the United States can relate because he was the state's legislator and congressman at some point. His historic Gettysburg Address became a clarion call for nationalism, republicanism, equal rights, liberty, and democracy. He is usually remembered as the martyr hero of the United States, and he is consistently ranked as one of the greatest presidents in the American history. As a matter of fact, he served as the 16th president of the United States from 1861 until his assassination in 1865. This episode is about Abraham Lincoln. Like I did mention, he is highly regarded several years and centuries after passing on. But what qualities stood Abraham Lincoln? I mean, for what it's worth, the United States has had over 45 presidents. Elections come and go, and Abraham Lincoln still retains the huge perception as being one of the greatest presidents of the United States. Lincoln became president at a time when it was pretty difficult to navigate the affairs of the nation. It was the time of the American Civil War. The Civil War happened from 1861 to 1865. Lincoln won the presidential election in November 1860. The principal cause of the war was whether the enslavement of black people in the southern states should continue. It was on this premise that Lincoln won the elections of November 1860. He was firmly against slavery. War broke out in April 1861 when secessionist forces attacked Fort Sumter in South Carolina, just over a month after Lincoln's inauguration. An initial 7 states that were pro-slavery declared their secession from the country to form the Confederacy. An additional 4 slave states joined the Confederacy in the following 2 months. The Confederacy grew to control at least a majority of territory in those 11 states out of the 34 U.S. states in February 1861. The states that remained loyal to the U.S. were known as the Union. Towards the end of the war, efforts at reconstruction and rebuilding were already being put in place. Lincoln gave this speech at his second inaugural address after winning the election to run for another term of 4 years. It was 4th March 1865. Here's the final paragraph of the address, aimed at turning from the divisive bitterness at the war's roots to the unifying task of reconciliation and reconstruction. With malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right, as God gives us to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds, to care for him who shall have borne the battle for his widow and his orphan, to do all which may achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations. Words of the president and an elder statesman at the time. I'll proceed on a music break at this point. When I get back, we'll look at qualities displayed by Lincoln that we can and should learn from. Here is Ordinary People by Goosebumps Asuko. Do stay here.
A child in the distance, playing in the rain, the sweet sound of water flowing away. The construction worker coming home from work, two parents and their children going to church. A happy little baby rolls on your shirt. What an extraordinary day. Let us have a world of ordinary people, living life the way God wants us to. And if we have a world of ordinary people, extraordinary things will happen to me and you. Abraham, he was just a man, but he'd kill his son for the price of a lamb. And let us consider ordinary Job, who lost it all, but in God had his hope. Now ordinary David, a little shepherd boy, brought down Goliath with a stone and a toy. Sweet little Jesus, ordinary child, the carpenter's first son, humble and mild. If anybody told you he'd be Messiah, you probably would laugh it off, I know. So let us have a world of ordinary people, living life the way God wants us to. And if we have a world of ordinary people, extraordinary things will happen to me and you. Every little baby has the power to be great, and every tall tree grew up from some mustard seed. No ordinary children going off to war, 'cause no single leader is worth dying for. No ordinary mother will cry herself to sleep, 'cause no ordinary father will come home after 3 a.m. that is. So let us have a world of ordinary people, living life the way God wants us to. And if we have a world of ordinary people, extraordinary.
Abraham Lincoln and the qualities he displayed that we can learn from. Here we go then. Number 1, never give up. Too many people these days just throw in the towel at the slightest stumbling block they come across. Abraham Lincoln's CV would look something like this. 1832, clerk and assistant job at a store. He lost the job. 1832 as well, Illinois state legislature running. He lost. 1833, attempt at starting a business with a corporal friend, failed and went bankrupt. 1835, engaged to be married, sweetheart died, suffered heartbreak as a result. 1836, aftermath of the death of sweetheart Anne the previous year, and they suffered total nervous breakdown and was in bed for 6 months. 1838, sought to become Speaker of the state legislature. He was defeated. 1843, attempt at running for Congress through the clinching of the ticket from his party through nomination, he lost. 1849, sought to be elected to the post of Commissioner of the General Land Office in his home state, he was unsuccessful. 1854, he ran for Senate of the United States but was short of the number that would form majority by 6 votes. He withdrew as a result. 1858, ran again for Senate but didn't make it. I can guess what could be on your mind by now. With all of these disappointments, are they not enough for a man to throw in the towel? Not Abraham Lincoln. All of these failed attempts would just stand him in a better stead to know what to do for such opportunities next time thereabouts. You see, perspective is key. Challenges and failures that happen can make you stronger. It's all dependent on how you see it. Of course, Abraham Lincoln would go on to become president in 1861. Now, here's my question. What if he had not gone through all that he did leading up to the time that he became elected as president of the United States? Well, it's possible and it's a huge possibility that he wouldn't have recorded the success that he had, which was majorly about reconstruction and rebuilding of the United States from the effects of the Civil War. You see, challenges happen to everyone. It's how we handle them that really counts and matters. How do you see challenges when you get to be confronted with them? Do you see them as something to crumble under? Or you see them as stumbling blocks? Or you see them as stepping stones that you can use to rise up to whatever level you set for yourself? In the final analysis, the choice is yours. Number 2, never stop reading and be a self-learner. Lincoln spent most of his childhood doing farm work to help out his father. In spite of this, he taught himself in his spare time. In fact, he built his own home school using books given to him by his stepmother, neighbors, and teachers. This attitude never departed from Lincoln, even during adulthood. As president, he regularly checked out books from the Library of Congress. He also could be found regularly reading newspapers and classics, as well as journals. In fact, as a lawyer, Lincoln was self-trained, and this happened because he was given to reading. It is what it is. Read and read, learn and learn. And don't drop it when it becomes a habit. And like I did mention while I was trying to introduce Abraham Lincoln during the course of this, he self-trained himself to become a lawyer. How many can do that these days? It's possible, only if you are given to such attitude as never stop learning, never stop reading, just be about it. And you see, the sources of learning are numerous and enormous. It's just a matter of being open-minded to learning at every opportunity that you have. And that also comes with that habit of always reading as much as possible. You see, and it's pretty easier these days because of the internet, as you can get the answers to literally just about every question that you have by just surfing through the internet. And so you don't have any excuse whatsoever for not learning, and more so for not reading. And here's the final and third point. In the final analysis, dare to be different. Don't be mainstream in your approach. Now, I'm not saying cut corners and the likes. In fact, Lincoln was known for his honesty, stood up to his critics, and stuck by his beliefs. Even though such approach didn't always make him popular. Popularity is never the aim. It's about doing what is right. And that is one quality that you also need to imbibe as an individual within your organization, at your workplace, at the business that you run, in your family, or any gathering of sorts that you might get to find yourself. You need to dare to be different. Imbibe qualities that will make you stand out from the rest of the pack, because that is what you'll be recognized with when it comes down to it. Here's a final quote from Lincoln. Always bear in mind that your own resolution to success is more important than any other thing. That's the episode for today. Reach out to me via socials. That's Twitter and Instagram at Ben_Olubenga. Here's to your success. Have a solid day.
A child in the distance, playing in the rain, the sweet sound of water flowing away. A construction worker coming home from work, two parents and their children going to church. A happy little baby drools on your shirt. What an extraordinary day. Let us have a world of ordinary people, living life the way God wants us to. And if we have a world of ordinary people,
Baseline Beats with Benga is a wrap for this week. For questions, concerns, and feedback, reach him on Twitter and Instagram at Ben_Olugbenga. Until Baseline Beats with Benga comes away again next week, keep winning and enjoy the rest of the week.